Sutter Health is under fire tonight. Several doctors we've spoken to claim the healthcare system has engaged in discrimination. 2 of them have filed lawsuits.
Our Brandy Cummings has spent months looking into the cases and talking to the doctors along with Sutter Health.
Serious allegations against one of the largest healthcare providers in California. 2 pending lawsuits detail claims of racial discrimination, harassment, and retaliation.
So there's really no other place to turn. I filed a lawsuit because I know that other Black doctors have felt that they are unable to speak, and there are no internal channels. They've been closed.
In a June lawsuit from Palo Alto-based ophthalmologist Dr. Lupita Nyong'o, the suit claims he has been subject to a pattern of racial discrimination, including pay and promotion discrimination, down-leveling, biased reviews, heightened scrutiny, and racial harassment. Dr. Nyong'o has worked for Sutter 14 years. According to his lawsuit, although he was the first and only Black physician to ever chair any department within the Palo Alto Medical Foundation region of Sutter Health, he was demoted.
I was suddenly replaced by 2 white doctors, and I was told by Sutter leadership that they were not ready for Black leadership. And specifically what I was told is that it might be 10 years before people like me could enter into leadership.
So that would be the year 2027.
Yeah, we're not quite there yet.
Dr. Nyong'o's claims were thrust into the international spotlight when his cousin, actress Lupita Nyong'o, posted about the lawsuit on social media back in July. Join me in echoing his call for an anti-racist workplace that serves, respects, and values healthcare workers and patients, she said. Another lawsuit was filed in August last year against Sutter Health by Dr. Stephen Noble. It claims the hospital system used false allegations and intimidation tactics to target their own doctors, especially Black and other minority doctors, to keep them in line. When reached by phone, neither Dr. Noble nor his attorney wanted to comment. But in the suit, Dr. Noble says Sutter lied to him and made false promises about the job they were offering him. He says the hospital system cut his salary by 60%. The suit says he was the lowest paid full-time cardiothoracic surgeon in the U.S. Dr. Noble, according to his lawsuit, is a board-certified surgeon who served in the military 7 years. He started working at Sutter Gold in Modesto in 2018 and resigned after 2 years, but not before enduring what he called racially motivated mistreatment and humiliation. In its initial court filing, Sutter denied all allegations in both lawsuits. Both cases are continuing through the court process. I talked to several doctors across the state about how they say they've been treated while working for the Sutter Health system. One doctor was reluctant to speak to me for fear of retaliation. Another doctor would only speak to me if we concealed her identity and changed her voice. She says one of the reasons why doctors are reluctant to speak out is because they don't think anyone will believe their stories. We'll call her Dr. Ann.
I just want it to be known that this is not a rare thing that happens. It happens quite often.
Dr. Ann is a former Sutter physician who worked in the Bay Area. She told me the details in both pending lawsuits are similar to what she faced.
I experienced several situations that just felt like it was not so much a person providing a service and having that being looked at like any other person providing a service. It just felt like that there was a racist component to it.
In an arbitration brought by a different doctor, KCRA 3 has learned late last year Sutter Medical Group was found liable for racial discrimination, harassment, and retaliation, and required to pay a former African-American doctor millions. I spoke to the attorney handling that case. He told me he couldn't comment because the arbitration process is still ongoing. Meanwhile, no one from Sutter was made available for an interview, but the spokeswoman released this statement regarding the lawsuit saying, quote, Sutter Health takes any allegations of discrimination very seriously. We deny having taken or participated in any discriminatory or retaliatory conduct against Dr. Nyong'o or Dr. Noble. She went on to say, "We are committed to fostering a diverse and inclusive workforce, as well as a work environment where all are treated equitably, with dignity and respect, and provided the opportunity to reach their full potential. As a not-for-profit healthcare system serving diverse patients and communities, we do not tolerate discrimination of any kind." While both lawsuits are making their way through the court system, everyone I spoke to told me they hope, if nothing else, these lawsuits lead to change. Dr. Nyong'o's attorney, Kelly Dermondy.
He wants to make Sutter better because he wants Sutter to be a place where the most excellent patient care is possible, and the most excellent patient care is care that is not informed by bias and discrimination, and it's full of concern for equity. So the hope is that that will happen for Sutter, both for Sutter's benefit as an institution, but of course for the patients.
I'm Brandy Cummings, KCRA 3 News.
Now, it is important to note here that most doctors are not employed by Sutter Health itself. Most of them work for independent medical groups like Sutter Gould Medical Foundation or the Palo Alto Medical Foundation. A spokesperson for Sutter Health says that those medical groups share the same commitment to diversity and inclusion. You can read the complaints in the two lawsuits right now on our KCRA 3 app.